Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday Night Wisdom Share Sacred Practices. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for everybody online for joining us this evening. And I'm so excited to have Gail Crosby here tonight. So excited because she really lit me up last month when she shared about really tapping into that potential that's within us. And tonight she's sharing on the golden path. So I'm excited about that. And you're going to integrate some of what you talked about last month too. So I'll let her tell you more about that when she comes up. But I wanted to just share just a couple of announcements. And Wednesday Night Wisdom Share Sacred Practices. We do it every week, every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And the whole idea is that we can have someone who has some wisdom. We all have some wisdom, but and has sacred practice. That we could tap into a sacred practice. Because we started this, almost 3 years ago now, and it was because we felt like people needed to have the experience of the sacred, so that's where it kind of was birthed from. So lots of wisdom and sacred practice each week. And so next month, I'm so excited about next month. We got the lineup. We have 5 Wednesdays next month. And the first Wednesday is Emmanuel Snyder, and he's going to be sharing on healing, energy healing work and Reiki. He's a Reiki teacher and does a lot of healing energy work. He does some intuitive work, and he's just going to share the kind of a general sense of it all and do a little practice with us around Reiki and healing ourselves, really, ultimately, if there's any area in our life we would like to experience greater wholeness. So I'm really excited about Emmanuel's going to be his first time here, so I'm excited about that. Then the second Wednesday, we have Jeff Kingfisher, and he's going to be doing his amazing sounds and healing sounds with. Do you want to share anything on that? You want to put a mic on, or no? You just want me to? Go ahead. Yeah. It's called. He said, go ahead. It's called Dancing with Harmony and Dancing with What Is, and he always incorporates a wellspring of insight around how music and sound and how that all works together, and about the vibration of it all. So dancing with harmony and dancing with what is. The next week we have Peter Bedard, who was here last month, and he's going to be teaching on pain. He's had his own healing many years ago, and he learned a lot of lessons from pain. So it's called Lessons of Pain, and how pain calls us to evolve, and how pain can, on some level, how we can learn how to bless it and love it, and try to push it away right away. Listen to it. So I'm excited to hear about that.
Is that any kind of pain?
Huh?
Physical pain?
Physical, mental, emotional, circumstantial challenges. Yeah, just how do we listen to pain? And I love that. I actually teach that in some of the work that I do, so it's wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. The next week, the fourth Wednesday, it's going to be myself, Rev Mark, and Kitty Christian, and we're going to be talking about a world that works for all, and how compassion to action, how we can work with our environment. We're going to do a little share on what's going on with our environment in our world, and what the things we can do. How are we called to action? How, as a spiritual practice, can we incorporate some recognition of the oneness and how we are connected with it all, and then what can we actually do from that concept of oneness? So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be one of my first shares this year on the climate reality. I'm actually the Riverside County chair. I'm the chair of the Riverside County Climate Reality Project. We have a former chair right there, Richard Noble. Yeah, so he was my teacher. he told me all that needed to be done. Yeah, but it's quite the Riverside County is big. I didn't realize how big it was until I stepped into this thing. But got lots of wonderful people, so that's going to be fun. And then the last Wednesday, we're going to have Reverend Eunice, and she's going to be doing something on the oracle cards, and she creates these stations that we can kind of check out the different oracle cards, and she has a whole system that she puts together, and it's really fun. And we'll be able to do it online too, so we'll pick cards for you if you're not here, or you can pick your own card. So that's what's happening next month. I'm really excited about it. We're asking everyone to turn their cell phones off here, who's here. And we always invite everyone, we encourage, and we love when you share your gifts and talents, but we also love when you share your love and donations. So we do actually offer to people who share on our Wednesday night Wisdom Shares, we offer them a part of the donations that come in, so we appreciate your generosity. And I know when I receive some of that. That's always nice, and so I know everyone else does too. So thank you so much for your generosity. If you're online, you can go to www.cslps.org, or you can do the text to give, and that's 760-389-1333. And Jeff just put that up on Facebook for you and YouTube. And so, and you just type in your dollar amount, and then you just type in the word wisdom, and it'll go to this evening's donation. So thank you so much. Your donations really do help our beautiful center stay and do all the work that we do. So thank you. Yeah, so that's it for the announcements. Yeah. Anybody else have an announcement I missed? No? Okay, good. Let's do a little centering practice. Let's get settled and centered. And just give ourselves permission to stop for a few minutes to open up to that infinite, beloved wisdom and peace that is at the core and center of who we are. Just taking a few conscious breaths now. Bring our full attention to this present moment, sitting here, breathing this breath. As we create a space now, as we quiet and still our mind, we align with the infinite presence within us. We open up our hearts, our minds, our soul to receive now. As we create and co-create a sacred space this evening, wherever we are, we're creating a circle, a sacred space for all of us who are here, wherever we're sitting. Knowing that we're creating a sacred space, we know that we're supporting and uplifting each other on our path today. And so we give great thanks for this precious opportunity to come together this evening. We know that each one is here on purpose, that everyone here receives exactly what their soul needs to hear and know. As we open up our minds and our hearts to receive now, I know that Gail is in perfect alignment with that infinite creative power and source and wisdom that is working in her, as her, and through her this evening. And it shows up in exciting and unexpected ways. And so we create the space now, we open it up, we throw the doors wide open to the infinite possibilities, and we say together, and so it is. All right, so to bring our attention back, I'm going to invite Gail to come up. I'm so excited to hear all you have to share tonight. All this technology she's got going on for us this evening.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you,
Thank
Mark,
you.
dear. Isn't this a beautiful place? I just love being here. I'm going to come more often. I just live in Yucaipa, about 45 minutes away. But I just love being here. So, for those who were with us online last time and for those here today, 4 weeks has created a lot of, in the last 4 weeks, we've had a lot of trials and tribulations in our world, on our world stage. And it's actually, things have gone from bad to worse, unfortunately. We've got the COVID and the masking and schools, the economy, the border issues, China, Russia, and now the Taliban and, the increase in the potential for terrorism. And I bring that up because it's important for us to look at what is real and to look at reality. And that is part of our reality today. It's not really a part of what divine reality is supposed to be, but we know where we are and where we need to go. So when we are so consumed by all that is going on, and we're fearful, and our emotions are just so overpowering for us, there's a response that comes to mind for most of us, I would think. And the response to all that is happening is, sorry. This can't my pen's not working well. This can't be real. This just can't be real. This can't be happening to us. If we step away from the emotion and we put on our reasoning mind, we can know what the answer to all of these things are. And one of the things is that we need to ask ourselves is, how is it that our minds can say, this isn't real? How is it that we can judge something that is real and something that is not real? How does that happen? What do we have to measure it with? Do we have an image in our minds of what is real? And if so, where did it come from? How can we make a comparison between what is real and what is unreal? We know it inside when we see it. When we see murder and mayhem and takeovers, we know that that's not good, true, or beautiful. It's not harmonious and it's not unitive, which are all aspects of reality. So the question that I'm going to ask is of staggering importance. The question is, have we experienced reality before? Let's let that sink in a minute. Did our souls experience in another place prior to us coming to this earth the golden age, or an age where reality, absolute goodness, truth, beauty was part of our lives? Now, with that bombshell, I'm going to talk about, after our thought of this can't be real, now we have another horrifying thought. Sorry, this isn't meant to be a drama thing, but we are in drama, that's for sure. The thought is, what if this is permanent? What if our reality today is permanent? Yeah. And I think we would say, I can't accept this. I can't accept that this is going to be our reality forever, and potentially worse. Right? So, it seems that innately we know we are more than we are. You know, we are gravely disappointed with our lives and our lives under the governance of humans. We expected more from ourselves, and we expected more from life. But one cannot expect more unless innately we know we are more than we appear to be today. Likewise, we can't expect a better life than the reality we live in now unless innately, prior to our coming, that which is innate within our soul, like DNA baked inside of us, unless innately we know a higher reality that is above. It's happening now. It subsists. Doesn't exist, but it subsists above now, and has the potential to exist now here on earth. So Plato offers us a clue to this mystery. this mystery of why our earth is in this condition today. But really what he's talking about is, why is man in the condition that he is in today? So we're going to take a look at something called the myth of Ur. There's a book that I would highly recommend that you read if you want to have some amazing knowledge from Plato, and it's called The Human Soul in the Myths of Plato. And if you look for it and you can't find it, call me. I'll get it for you. It's well worth the read. Anyway, the myth, the story is of Ur. Ur is a soldier in the army, and he, among others, were in battle, and many of them died along with Ur. What we don't know at this point is that Ur is only seems to be dead. So what happens is they all go as a group to the afterlife. And when he reports back about what he has learned in the afterlife, and this is in the myth of Ur. So let me tell you what he says. They were all required to drink a measure of the water, and those who were not saved by their good sense drank more than the measure, and each one, as he drank, forgot all things. And after they had fallen asleep, and it was the middle of the night, there was a sound of thunder and a quaking of the earth, and they were suddenly wafted thence, one this way, one that, upward to their birth like shooting stars. So this is an interesting thought. Is Plato saying that we were meant to forget for a time? And to only have an image of this in our hearts? Is Plato saying that we're meant to rediscover ourselves? Who we really are? Where we were, where we came from, that golden age that our souls experienced prior to coming to earth? And is Plato suggesting that we are meant to experience earth? That we are meant to have companions on the way, those divine human companions like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Lao Tzu. It's interesting to note that Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Lao Tzu, and others began the journey as we did. They faced the same earth we face, the same kinds of people that we face, with the same natures that we have to endure. They were affected by the causes and the effects of right and wrong ideas, actions, thoughts, and error, just as we are. They went through crisis as well as we are today. And yet, the difference is that they did not allow themselves to become prisoners of ignorance and confusion. Instead, they could not and would not accept the existence of the unreal. Instead, they became students in the earthly schoolroom of life, of real life. And through their observations and their heroic efforts, they became, as we can, they became adept at living real life on earth. They became adept at living in a new golden age, despite the fact that the society was not living in those terms. One of the things that is hard about integral wisdom and is hard about being serious about being on the path is that it requires a great deal of effort. So there's a balance that has to be met from those who are helping others to gain integral wisdom, which is the wisdom of the ages, which is universal wisdom, because it's a long journey. And it requires right knowledge. It requires self-conscious, deliberate effort on our part, continuous effort. And once you have right knowledge, continuous effort, and that desire continues to burn within you, the gates of heaven are thrown open, and you can see what you couldn't see before, which is reality. The ground of the very ground and foundation upon which all things are built. One time when I was living in Baltimore, my husband and I were invited to dinner with a couple, it was a business dinner, and I've known the couple for quite a number of years. And Shirley said to me, we sat down and we talked for a while, and Shirley says to me, "Gail, I want what you have. You have so much peace about you." And she said, "How did you do it?" Well, I said, well, and this was 10 years ago. I said, well, I've been working on it for 12 years. I've been studying, and I have been learning to meditate and doing all these things. And she said, "Oh, well, I can't wait that long." So that's what happens to us, because we are all meant to have this, we are all meant to be illumined. We are all meant to know. We are all meant to have this right knowledge. But it takes us to fan those seeds of desire, to continue that through constant self-disciplined effort. But it's well worth it. Because now you'll be able to see from a perspective you hadn't been able to see before. You know, sometimes when we get really frustrated because we can't understand why someone is acting the way they are, or why a government is choosing to do this or that, and it seems to have a terrible effect on our city or society. I found that if we can't understand why they did that, it's very difficult to forgive. But when you understand why that was done, that's what I want to help you understand tonight. Why did that happen? What was the process that created this effect? So what I want to say to you is that the now moment is the most powerful moment you'll ever get. That now is the moment for transformation. Now is the moment for seeing the good. Now is the moment for study. Now is the moment for buying The Human Soul in the Myths of Plato and reading it, and then maybe writing it out and saying, how does it apply to me? Now is the time. See, our journey is eternal. It's an eternal journey, but we want to be done with this crisis like next week, right? And we won't be happy until it's all okay again. But we are going through a cycle, a transformational cycle that we are going through ourselves. The earth is going through, the world is going through. It's really a very spectacular time in our history. So let's move forward. So you see, Earth can be a prison for us, a schoolroom, or a home away from home. It depends on whether we choose to be a prisoner of the unreal, a student of the real, or a citizen today of the returning golden age of reality. That's what I'm living. That's what many of my friends are living. We are living in the golden age of reality, despite all that's going on, because the golden age is in us. It's in our minds, our hearts, our wills, and how we act. I want to read you something from Ovid about the golden age. He says, "The golden age was first when man yet knew, N-E-W, no rule but uncorrupted reason knew, K-N-E-W, and with a native bent did good pursue. Unforced by punishment, unawed by fear, his words were simple and his soul sincere. Needless was written law where none oppressed. The law of man was written in his breast." That's Ovid. So is it any wonder that we mourn tonight the great chasm between what we see now in our age today and what we can envision in terms of the return to a golden age? No wonder we're sad and mournful, but we don't need to be. The knowledge is out there. The right knowledge to know is there. And I'm going to begin to tell it to you. Step number 1 in integral wisdom. Oh, here we are. Lesson number 1. All things begin with an idea. Now, there's a process. Ideas produce thoughts. Thoughts produce desires. Desires produce actions, and actions produce effects. Okay, now we're going to go back to our myth of but I'm going to take a little bit of license, and we're going to create our own metaphor. Throughout this is going to be, actually it's going to be 21 sessions, 3 7-part series that I'm writing the study book to go with it. So you're just here for lesson 2, and this is the beginning. So I just want you to know there's a lot more. So to set the scene, we are going to return to Plato's The Myth of and his journey into the afterlife. You and your friend Dave are sitting by the waters of Lethe above, getting ready with a group of others to return to earth below. All are required to drink a measure of the water. You had the good sense to drink the measure given, while Dave drank 2 measures. Everyone fell asleep, forgetting all that they knew. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, there was a sound of thunder and a quaking of the earth, and you and Dave drifted one way while others drifted another, going into different directions to your new birth. It is morning now, and your first day on earth in your new body. It's Dave's first day, too. He's still feeling a little groggy from the second measure. Together, you are standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon looking down. You express your desire to reach the bottom and have a look around. Dave agrees. He thinks a moment and then has an idea. "Let's jump," he says excitedly. "We'll get there quicker that way." Something inside you hesitates. The innate idea of the law of gravity is implanted in your mind, but you have yet to consciously experience it on Earth. An inner voice says, "Don't jump." Dave's inner voice is shouting the same warning. Unfortunately, Dave's choice to drink too much water of forgetfulness dulled his power of intuition and reason. "It's a great idea," shouts Dave. You don't know what to do, so instead of making your own decision, you follow Dave's lead and jump. Fortunately, you landed in a tree about 10 feet down and lived to tell the story. Dave, however, was not so fortunate. He experienced the full force of the law of gravity on a human body. He returned above and began to complain that life on Earth was not fair. He argued that the two of you jumped, but only he died. It was then he saw the 2 empty water cups. So, we're going back to our idea. Our first idea, first lesson of integral wisdom is this: all things begin with an idea. It was Dave's idea to jump that brought about the sequence of events for Dave. The idea can be thought of as a domino effect. It starts the dominoes falling forward. It begins the sequence. Then the idea produced a thought. Let's jump. And then a desire. Come on, let's do this. This is going to be great. We'll get there really quick. And then an action. Jumped. And then the effects. So let me apply this now to our practical world today. What we're going through today. Our world is filled with people who appear to know things and present their knowledge first in the form of ideas. Now, if they have a voice, they might share their ideas with us. If they have a bully pulpit, they might shout their ideas to the masses. If they are an elected official, king or dictator, they can implement their ideas, like jumping off the Grand Canyon, into the life of our society. Over time, the truth or error of their knowledge and subsequent ideas, thoughts, desires, actions, and effects will be revealed. Take a look at what's being revealed right now. Out of necessity, these error-filled effects mire our society, and they mire our society. It's out of necessity because the divine laws and principles do not allow for evil, error, and ugliness to live and continue on. It will eventually die out. It has to, because only God is. And God is love, and God is goodness, truth, beauty. And God lives inside of us through the Spirit, through his Spirit. So I'm wondering, is Gail going to get her way eventually, or do you think maybe God is smart enough to, I say that, in jest, but to figure out how best he can help me to see reality? So when wrong ideas, thoughts, desires, actions, and effect take place, It's like a speeding car running into a divine steel wall. The only one affected is the driver and the car, right? So, what causes a society to prosper? Right knowledge of integral wisdom, which naturally produces real happiness. Why? Why does it produce real happiness? Because the idea of God, the cosmos, and man, the three principal ideas upon which all of real life is founded, because the right knowledge mirrors the divine desires, actions, and corresponds with the divine cosmic environment that we live in now. So, likewise, we have our own ideas, don't we? And we either force them upon others, force them upon ourselves. But when we study integral wisdom, when we begin to study the works of the great masters, pick up Buddha, pick up the Bhagavad Gita, pick up any of the Christian mystics, that's how you begin. And if you want to know how you can do this more systematically, call me. So we are then like the king or dictator that has the ability to put our ideas in for our children, our loved ones, etc. Or we can learn about what the right ideas are that are good, true, beautiful, harmonious, unitive, that if we all expressed, not that you can be purple and pink and blue and green and I can be red, but we're all part of a color, the color system, right? So we need to have the differences. But integral wisdom is the wisdom of color, from which red, blue, green, yellow comes, okay? So in closing, I would like to put our lives in perspective tonight. Okay. I can't even see where Earth is. All I just see is this arrow pointing in this mush of stuff. But then when you think about this a minute, this is just our solar system with millions of solar systems in the universe. Who's in control? I think the divine forces are in control, and we can be happy and participate with them. All we have to do is be educated. We don't have to go to church or temple, or we can. This is a beautiful place to come. But this is science. This is art. This is the science of reality. We can be educated. We can educate ourselves and become masters of real life. So, that's my conclusion to part 2. So, are there any questions? There doesn't need to be.
What was part 1?
Go back and look at YouTube. Part 1.
Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, yeah. Yeah, part 1, YouTube.
What was the name of that book?
It's called The Human Soul in the Myths of Plato. And the publisher is the Shrine of Wisdom books. The Human Soul in the Myths of Plato.
discouraged sometimes is having the desire to have the knowledge, to understand all of this and be exposed to it, but then having to live real life and work and that kind of thing too. And trying to find that balance of where I can absorb enough of it to make a difference. Like your friend who said, oh, I can't wait that long. You know, it takes decade after decade after decade. It's not something that you just pick up to become, you know, enlightened or.
It's a forever process.
Right.
But see, I don't look at it as two different things.
Okay.
I've never looked at I used to look at my spiritual path as I'm doing something spiritual now, I'm going to church now, I'm going to read something spiritual now, and then I'm going to go on and have my real life, you know, taking care of the kids and getting dinner on the table and whatever else. But that's an illusion. Life is. The now is a time is eternity flowing. When you separate the two, it's the separation that's the error. The Spirit lives within us. Whether we feel like we're spiritual or not, whether we believe in religion or believe in anything of a sacred matter, it doesn't matter. We still have the Spirit within us. That's what makes a human a human. You can't be a human unless you have three things. You have to first have a spirit, which is the Spirit of God. You secondly have to have a soul, which we would go into we'll be going into in depth in my series. The soul with its faculties of the heart, mind, and will. And finally, we have a body, but that's just transient. You know, it's useful, it's wonderful, it's useful, but it's transient. You get a lot of bodies, and it's like, it's great. It's wonderful to have a nice body or, you know, take care of it and all of that, but that's not who you are. You're not your body. You are your soul. That's you. So how many of us know that we even have a soul, and how many of us know what the difference is between soul and spirit? And now that we know we have a soul and it's different than spirit, what's the soul all about? And if the soul is the uniting force between spirit and soul, which makes us real, the body is over here, but that's what makes us real, then don't we think that it's really, really important to know who we are? We're not a body. You're you. If you close your eyes and you just, let's do this exercise. Okay, I'm going to say, I am Gail. You say, I am whoever you are. Okay? Let's close our eyes. Now, I'm going to say, I am, and I'm going to leave off Gail. Okay, now I'm going to say, I am. Well, the am is, you know, I'm a teacher, and, you know, I like to garden, and I'm this, and I'm that. Now we're going to leave that off. And we're just going to say, I. You don't do anything, you aren't anything, you just are. That's you. That's you. And it's that you that the divine Spirit wants to pervade your mind, your heart, your will, with all of the real ideas. Any other questions? I've talked a long time. Go ahead. I don't want to bore you.
Okay, so, thank you, by the way, that was awesome.
Really?
Oh,
Oh,
I have to click it on? Or is it?
It's on, you just hold it back to your face.
Oh, sure. So I think what ends up happening, like for me, is like I live like the day-to-day life, and I have the realization from time to time. It dawns on me that everything is impermanent. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that this life, this world that we're on is transient. And so there was a point in my life where I was like, okay, well, what's the point of any of it if it's all gonna go away, and this means nothing, as you know, in the long run, like for my soul and my spirit, because this is just, you know, a rat race, and you know, it's not gonna matter in the end. Like, what am I doing here? You know, but then I, you know, kind of reached a point where I was like, okay, it's not all about me, it's about what I can give to others and make the most of the time that I do have here. But I think sometimes I get discouraged because I sit and I look at other people, and you know, I truly believe that I am an extension of God, and I have a connection to the divine, and each of us are. But I get confused when other people don't view other people that way, and I don't understand why everybody knows you shouldn't kill, everybody knows you should treat people equally, you know, or everybody should know. And I see people who don't, and I see injustices in the world, and I can't wrap my head around the fact that if everyone is an extension of God and they have that inherent wisdom within them, why don't they, or why can't they tap into it? You know, where is that disconnect? Is it how they were raised? And is there ever going to be a point where they do wake up? You know, and you know, is it if we, you know, Buddha is like reincarnation and stuff, and you know, maybe it's just takes a bunch of lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes before they reach that, you know, point of enlightenment. I don't know. It just it's kind of. I don't want to say that, you know, do we reach a point where everything's good, you know, or is it just the journey? You know, so I was wondering if you could speak to that at all.
By the way, you have spoken what all of us feel. Every single one of us feels exactly the same way. Those are the questions that haunt us. And we don't feel, there's never been good answers. But I think I can offer you some answers. Integral wisdom can offer you answers. First of all, there is a reason why it takes a long time for a rose to grow from the root to the stem to the bud to the flowering rose, to wilt, die, and start all over again, where now there's 2 stems and 2 roses or 3 roses. That is a process that is meant to be. That is part of the real process of becoming. So I would say that if we look at the conception of a child, metaphorically speaking, when the child is conceived and is in the womb, it's hidden. It's within its mother. It hasn't experienced life outside the mother's womb. And there's a beauty and a peace, and you know, and then suddenly the baby's born, they're spanked, they cry, and now, you know, what is life about? Well, we wouldn't ask a baby to do surgery on a patient, would we? No. No more than we would ask the spiritual child to become Buddha. We can't. We're not there yet. But it's meant to be a process. Okay, so what does the baby gradually learn? So it gradually recognizes that it has toes and hands and fingers, and it recognizes that it cries, it's hungry, but it doesn't know why this person, when it cries, feeds them. It's left in the dark. It doesn't know. It knows that it happens, and they're fed, and they go to sleep, and so forth and so on. When you are, we all are children of God. Now I'm going to call us babies. We're just looking at our toes for right now. We have the potential within us, that baby has the potential within us to become a masterful surgeon. But it takes time to become. And that's part of the illusion, that we don't want it to take time. When we're 14, we want to drive. When we're 16, we want to drive, or we want this, or we want a house, we want this, we want that. But we can't. When we're 12, buy a house. It's the same thing in the progress of your soul. Now, remember this. Let's look at this. Okay, that is your soul on this earth that we can hardly see. Last time I was here, I took this carpet as an example. Most of us feel that this carpet, this whole carpet, is our one life here. That's it. The soul has 80 years to do whatever it's going to do, and then that's it. But the reality is that we are one strand here. Ours is an eternal life, an eternal process. What is the goal? What is the goal of the aspirant to integral wisdom? Yes, the goal is to know. And you want to know just that much that you can know right now. There's so much you can know between now and next year. You will be a transformed person. So when I go back to the now moment, now you have power. Now you can make decisions. Now you can now you can come to this place again and search for God. I don't have all the answers, but I have 19 years, almost 20 years of being on this path. So I know a little bit. And seriously, I'm not being, falsely modest. I know a tiny bit. I know enough to know that the more I know, the less I know. So, don't think that I'm thinking of myself as anything. I promise you, I'm just a tiny little, I just have discovered maybe my ears. That's about it. So, but if one is serious and one is offered help on the path, it's hard. It's a hard path. But our souls are going to go on this journey, and the journey depends on whether we want to carry a rock around with us and have people with machetes jumping out at us all the time, or we can say, wait, I think I'll put this rock down, and maybe I'll send out a search party to see if there are any machete guys out there. So that it's life. It's living life every now moment. Not trying to be spiritual. Don't try to be spiritual. Don't try to live in like this spiritual thing. Live in the real world. Live now. But live with right knowledge. Say to yourself, okay, is this the highest good? In this now moment, is this the highest good? I can tell you in this now moment, for me, this is the highest good that I could do in this now moment, is to share with you the gift of life, real life. And the highest good that you can do is to accept that gift and explore it for yourself. You know, integral wisdom is not a wisdom that is separate from everything. You can be in any denomination, any path, any walk, anything you are, because it's the foundation of the earth. It's the foundation of the universe, which all of these things are part of. Don't worry. Relax. Seriously.
You know, when you mentioned when I heard you speak last time when you had you mentioned the rug and we're just one fiber. I tend to forget that there's no beginning and there's no end.
No.
Time is irrelevant because it's eternal, you know, and there's no, like I said, there's no beginning and no end. It's just one after another until the end of time. And I think I lose sight of that, and I'm wanting there to be an end. I'm wanting there to be a destination.
But there is. I'm going to tell you what the destination is. There is a destination, and then there's another destination after that. The destination that integral wisdom leads to is union with God, and it's union. You're going to God. You're understanding what you just said. I am a divine expression of God. When you really know that, when you really see that, when you watch your nature become that, when you do that, you have then reached a point where you have come to God to know that. But my dears, there's an infinity of life in God. There's a life to God, and then there's a life in God. Those are deep mysteries, but they're practical and real. And this is all as real and practical as possible. One time I remember I had this moment when, I can't hardly explain it, but it was like the difference between an illusion and reality. And there was a moment where I could feel the realness of things. And afterwards, I experienced it maybe for an hour. And afterwards, I went to a friend of mine and I said, I've been playing religion. I've been playing church. I've been playing spirituality. This is real. I will never forget that moment. And that was a transforming moment for me, because I stopped trying to be spiritual, because I already am. I don't have to do anything to not be spiritual. The Spirit of God is in you, and you couldn't be here if it wasn't. So you are spiritual, so relax.
So the pursuit of spirituality then
Yes.
is buying into the illusion, is buying into lack of acceptance is what I'm hearing. We are spiritual beings,
Yeah.
and so when we pursue that, we're buying into the lie that we're not already there. Is that am I?
Well,
is that?
yes, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Here's the problem. If I was not aware that this hand existed and I thought I'm just a one-armed person, I've always been a one-armed person, I'm not anything else than a one-armed person. What it takes for me to understand that I have two arms is a consciousness. Oh, I have another arm. I have another hand. How cool is that? Now I have two. Part of our problem in society today is we think we're bodies. In my next series, I ask you to draw a picture of love. Not a happy face, not a loving person, not a loving thing, but the force called love. Now, I ask you, draw a picture of intellect working. Now, draw a picture of emotion, not How you feel, the emoji, happy face, unhappy face. No, no, no. The emotion itself, that unseen force. You asked, why do people not see this? It's because they only see what is material. They do not believe in anything that they can't see. However, can you see your heart? Can you see your emotions? I hope that's not me. It is. I thought I turned it off. Anyway, can you see your emotions? Not the emotion on your face. Can you see your mind? Where's your mind? It's unseen. Where is your will? Can you see your will? Draw a picture of will. See, that's the problem. We are so much more than the physical body that we are. We're the soul, and we haven't even gotten past, society has not even gotten past our toes. We're still looking at our toes, and we have no clue that there are these giant, dynamic, divine forces that are moving through the universe and not stopping just because we don't like it. We must be educated. That's the problem. We are ignorant of who we are and where we come from and what rules us. We're completely ignorant. But we can be educated. And I intend to educate anyone who'll listen, including myself. But
open-mindedness too.
it does take open-mindedness.
Not everybody has that, right?
Right.
There's a lot of, like you said, ignorance, and people are
Yeah.
tunnel vision.
People will be illumined. Everyone should be illumined, can be illuminated, enlightened. We just have to be ready for that. Like the baby can't be ready to do surgery. It's got to be a baby for a while. So we just take where we are right now. Move a little step. Move another little step. Meditate while you're doing the dishes. Think about stuff while you're gardening. Think about these things. Take a paragraph and read it. And think about it in the car on your way to the grocery store. Stand in line and think about, gosh, how much goodness do I see just around me? That kind of thing. Live. Just live. I've talked so much. I know I'm boring you all. So I'd be happy to share as much as you want, but I know we need to quit. So anyway, that's that for now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gail, so much. That was really insightful. Many levels. Thank you. All right, well, thank you everyone for coming tonight. Thank you again, Gail. Maybe we'll have to talk about maybe some kind of workshop-y thing or something. Yeah, so it sounds like we need a little more time to integrate, integral wisdom, right? It might take a little more of a, maybe an hour or two or whatever you think, so.
We need some more practical tools.
Yeah.
I can only give you the one today.
So some practical tools, so we'll talk. And you get our email, if you get our Wednesday Night Wisdom Share Sacred Practices email, everyone gets the email? Yeah, some people are not getting the email? No? Yeah, if you're not getting it, just write on, there's a little pad of paper right there at the door. And just write your name and email. Then I'll make sure I put you on the list, okay? So thank you. I'm actually doing a sound bath this Friday night at 6:30 to 8. And it's called the Here and the Now. How perfect for what you shared tonight, the Here and the Now. It's about being present with all that's going on in the world. It's so important for us, like you shared tonight, is to create that space to connect with that. So it was very much in line with what you were sharing, so I'm looking forward to Friday night. So come Friday night for that. And anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday for sure, right? Next Wednesday is, that's the first. That's the first Wednesday of September, and that's going to be Emmanuel Snyder. So look forward to seeing you then. Have a beautiful night. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.